That song, How Great Is Our God, has brought tears to my eyes right now. Because as unworthy as I am to be here, it just amazes me of the love that He has for us. I'm a sinner, and I know I need God, and I choose to do wrong things. But the good thing about that is that our God is so great that He can pull us out of that. And it's funny because I wasn't going to come up here and say this. I'm still going to say what I was going to say. We just got back off a vacation, and how great is our God. We went to see the Grand Canyon, the sequoias, and it was awesome just to see God's hand. You know, He spoke and it happened. And we're looking at that and just amazed of His work. And again, how great is our God. And I'm glad to be here. We were on vacation for a week and a half. And it was funny because Sunday we sent our kids back home, and we were going to spend an extra 3 days in San Francisco. Well, we get our kids off to the airport, and we get on the phone, and we're trying to make sure that Big Mama, the kids' grandmother, is going to pick the kids up at the airport. So we're calling Big Mama, and Big Mama's not answering the phone. And so we're like, man, what are we going to do? And so we did that a couple of times, and then Sister said, it's Sunday. And then we were both like, oh yeah, well she's at church. Well, that's a good reason she's not answering the phone. So we were relieved. And then we decided it is Sunday. And because we just lost track of time today. And so we decided, well, it's still early enough that we can make church service. So I'm sorry, if y'all would like to sit down, go ahead and have a seat. Because the story's not over. So we decided, you know what? We were going to drive down the Pacific Coast Highway that day just to see again the coast and God's work. And so we're driving down. We finally decided to stop at Lindemar, and we found us the church we were going to, and we pulled in. There were cars everywhere. And so we pulled in where we could find a parking spot and got out and started walking toward the church. Well, all of a sudden we see people coming out of the sanctuary and headed into another room, and we're like, oh, I guess we missed it. Or maybe they're getting out of Sunday school. We weren't really quite sure. But we walked into that other room, and they had this spread of food set up, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And so we don't know anybody there, but there's food, people are getting in line. So I told Natalie, I said, I'm not getting in line. Give me some food. So I get in line, we get our food, and for about 5 minutes, nobody says anything to us. Well, Natalie went to the restroom. When she came back, I was visiting with the lady, and she said, well, y'all must have flown in for this. And we were like, no, we're just visiting. And she's like, oh, well, it's our pastor's retirement or going away. She's moving on. So that's what the spread was for. And then we found out that they share that church. I think it was at a Presbyterian church, and they shared it with the Baptist church. So the Baptists come 11. And so we were talking to that lady, and she said, well, yeah, they have a great song, music praise team. And yeah, after the service, man, they served lunch. And I was like, yeah. So anyway, I'm saying that. And the reason we went to that, the message that he preached, and this is what I want to touch on, was in Luke, the parable of the prodigal son. Okay, we all think of that. We think of the son, and we see it from the son's perspective. And he preached on the father's perspective, from the father's perspective. And again, how great is our God? And so, and we all pretty much know the story. The son wants his inheritance, and so he can go do whatever he wants to with it. Well, we all make choices, and the son wanting his inheritance basically was saying, I want my father dead. Because that's how we get our inheritance. Or most of the time, that's the way it usually works out. We get an inheritance after somebody passes away. Well, this son wanted his inheritance while his father was still living. So what did that tell the father? And so, but the father gives it to him. The father gives it to him and without question, basically. And he lets him go. Well, we know the story. Long story short, when the father was constantly waiting and he was out looking for that window where his son would come back. And he was there. And he went running to his son. And they didn't do that stuff back then because it's just not part of the custom. So the father was waiting for his son, just like God is waiting for us to turn around. And he's going to meet us. He's going to meet us where we're at. And that's the amazing thing. And we got that out of that message. And I've never looked at it that way before. But it's how much he loves you. And it doesn't matter where you're at right now. What you're struggling with, the issues you're dealing with, God loves you. And it doesn't matter to him. What matters to him is that you care enough to go his way, to follow him. That's all he wants is your obedience. And I'm sorry, but I have some other stories I wanted to tell, but I'm going to save those for testimony time the next time I'm here. But I just felt like I needed to share that. And I appreciate every one of you that are here today. And for our visitors, this is something else we learned on this trip. We were visiting that church, and for a good amount of time, nobody came up and greeted us or said anything to us. And so I hope our visitors that we have today felt welcome, because that's our job, is to encourage others and make them feel welcome into this house, the house of God. So I pray that our church members would remember that, and when they see a new face, they would make an effort to go out, and me also. I mean, I'm included in our church, and to do the things that we need to do as Christians. Okay, let's pray. Lord, I thank you for who you are, and I'm glad to be part of your family. Lord, I just pray that every day that you would impress upon my heart how important it is to follow you, be an example for you. And Lord, I also pray for our students going back to school, as they're going to be inundated with things that they probably shouldn't see or hear. But Lord, I pray that you would help surround them with like-minded people that would encourage one another and lift one another up and not tear each other down, Lord. And Lord, thank you again for loving us, and thank you for your mercy, and I thank you for your grace. And I pray for those that weren't able to be here today, those that lost loved ones, Lord, that you would comfort them, those that are sick, that you would heal them, Lord. And, Lord, I thank you for our church family. I thank you for our pastors. And Lord, I pray that you would be with Brother David as he's speaking your word. And Lord, I just pray that your word would touch our hearts. And Lord, that we would let it soak in and let it soften our heart so it can be molded to follow you, Lord. We thank you and we love you for everything you do for us. In your name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jim. Now, some of you who are guests, you need to help us because it happens in some churches. Actually, we're doing a transformation that's already been done. Jeff just did it. So I'm going to connect his testimony with get reverse set up for after the sermon, and we'll be good. A little media correction. I didn't know God was going to do that. Thank you. And so, he's kind of like that sometimes, isn't he? As you're a guest, sometimes you find that maybe some people are standing around you and they don't seem to be very friendly. You know what could happen there is that you're standing beside some other guests. And so as guests, y'all need to be friendly to the other guests around you. So that everybody's being friendly. Friendly is a good start. Accepting and loving and caring starts off with friendly. So we understand that around here. Well, have you heard what Jeff was just sharing? I was going to show a video that's called Transformation is Possible. And really that was what he was just saying, that how God works in our lives is in the process of transforming us. And whether it's you're seeing God in the beauty of nature, or you're seeing God in the lives of other believers, or whatever is going on there, God uses all those things to transform us. But where's the starting place? The starting place has a lot to do with our perspective on God and on what He is doing. And so sometimes in life, before we're really focused on God, we're making decisions. Some of them are life-changing, sometimes life-destroying kinds of choices. And it's tragic, some of the things that we each do before we really begin to follow the leading of God. And so sometimes we have we have a situation where we're balancing what should I do, how should I act, how should I respond to this circumstance in my life, and we make a wrong choice and it knocks us to the ground. And I've dealt with many people as I've gone through that myself who have then come and say, I chose this and it was the wrong choice. And I'm suffering the consequences of this choice. How did I get here? How did I find myself in these circumstances? And the answer to that always is the same. One choice at a time. We make the wrong choices most often when we have false thinking. I think one of the women's speakers from several years ago described it more as stinking thinking. We're just not thinking as God thinks. We're not in the Word. We don't understand things the way God does. And so with the wrong information, with the wrong input, we come out with the wrong choice, the wrong decision. And usually the choice that we make is the one that appeals to our flesh at the moment. The thing that seems like it's going to fix everything. If this will just happen, I'll be happy. And it'll all work out. Well, we're going to see as we look today at Genesis 19, starting in verse 30, some examples of this. And we're going to see some things that are pretty horrific in our minds. And yet it all goes to wrong thinking, wrong perspective. You remember Jesus said that if your eye is dark, then your understanding, your perspective of things is going to be entirely wrong. Well, here is after Sodom and Gomorrah has been destroyed. You remember that from last week if you were here. And so Lot and his daughters, his wife has been turned to a pillar of salt. His daughters, they get to Zoar, which is a little town that means little town. And so they found out for some reason, we don't know exactly why, that Zoar is not a good place to be. Now, one would think that it's as simple as this. If we understand from Scripture that it was fire and brimstone that